Hello, in this video we're going to see an overview of Shopify Functions. These allow developers to extend and customize the Shopify backend in more advanced ways than what is available out of the box in Shopify. These customizations include things such as cart validation, so customers can check out if their cart meets certain criteria the store owner doesn't want to allow, custom discounts, so you can create new type of product, order, or shipping discounts, bundling items together, which will allow for mix and match bundles, updating the presentation of line items, renaming or reordering payment options, and more. To get started, here we have a diagram that shows what is going on when a Shopify function is executed. First, we have the GraphQL input query. This is used so the function can get exactly the data it needs and nothing more, as functions need to be executed as quickly and efficiently as possible. Then from that, we get the input of the function, based on the data of our store and the customer currently executing the function. As you can see in this diagram, it is all coming from the Shopify backend. This is then passed to the function module, which as you can see is in WebAssembly. And from that we get the function output, which is then passed to the function extension target so Shopify can use it in its appropriate context. For example, if it's a product discount function, then Shopify will use the function output to compute that discount. But if it's a cart validation function, then Shopify will use the output to validate what is on the customer's cart. As we saw a second ago, the function module is in WebAssembly, which means that it can be written in languages that compile to WebAssembly as long as they meet the function requirements Shopify describes over here. I will be leaving this link in the video description so you can go over this if you want. However, it is to be noted that function templates and client libraries are available for Rust and JavaScript, and even though it is not explicitly mentioned here, also for TypeScript. What this means is that from the Shopify CLI, when you are creating a function, you can get a scaffold in these languages. And this also comes with libraries that contain types and are maintained by the Shopify team. So generally, should always contain the latest available set of features. We also have to take a look at this message over here, which states that Shopify suggests using Rust to avoid the function failing with large carts. The reason performance matters in this context is because, as we will see later, Shopify functions have limitations on the amount of resources they have available. So depending on what you are trying to do, Rust will be the option to pick. If you end up picking another language, you should stress test your function with large cards if you expect to see those, and based on what you find, consider moving to Rust or not. That being said, throughout these videos I will be using TypeScript as a balance between the simplicity offered by JavaScript and the type safety offered by Rust. But you can try converting the code to Rust, as the logic should be the same. Now let's go over the lifecycle of a Shopify function. As you can see highlighted at the top, the first step is that app developers create and deploy apps that contain a Shopify function. This already tells us that Shopify functions are always contained within an app. They are not filed in a Shopify theme, nor are created from the Shopify admin. Once the app is created, a merchant can then install it on their store and configure it. And finally, customers interact with a Shopify store and Shopify executes the function as this happens. This is better described in this diagram over here. You can see that the app developer adds the function to their app and deploys their app. Then the merchant installs the app on their store and configures it. Then the customer interacts with the Shopify store and Shopify executes the function. And this cycle repeats and repeats until the customer finally finishes interacting with your store because they either check out or leave the store. And now let's create our first function. But before that, let's talk about availability. Here we have these requirements that we should meet before thinking about these in Shopify functions. The first one is that functions require your store to be on checkout extensibility, though at this point, most stores should already be upgraded to this. Aside from that, there is this second item over here. Stores on any plan can use public apps that are distributed through the Shopify App Store and contain functions. Only stores on a Shopify Plus plan can use custom apps that contain Shopify Functions APIs. So what this means is that if you are intending to use Shopify functions for an app you plan to distribute on the Shopify App Store, then this limitation doesn't affect you that much. However, if you are working directly with a Shopify store and you want to develop a Shopify function for them to solve a particular need they have, they must be in a Shopify Plus plan, as this will require creating a custom app, and as we saw here, custom apps that use Shopify Function APIs are only allowed on Shopify Plus stores, with development stores being the exception to this rule. For a scenario where you are working with someone who needs something that can only be done with Shopify functions, but they are not on a Shopify Plus plan, then what you can do is try to find an app in the Shopify App Store that can solve their issue. as even if the app uses Shopify functions, you will be able to install it regardless of the plan because it is coming from the Shopify App Store. And lastly, we have this limitation over here that some Shopify function capabilities are only available for stores on the Shopify Plus plan, even if the app was installed from the Shopify App Store. We can see which are those capabilities over here. I will be leaving this link in the video description so you can go over this list. So here I have this development store created, which has been populated with some test data by Shopify. And now let's understand what function we are trying to create. So if I go to products over here, you can see that some of the products, such as this one, have this discount tag, which I just added manually. And now let's say that I want to create a discount over here that adds a 10% discount whenever 3 or more of those products with the discount tag are in the customer's cart. If I try doing this from an order discount, for example, you can see that I can create a condition for a minimum quantity of items. However, this applies to all products, and I wanted to apply only to the products with that discount tag. From the standard discount, you can see from this menu, there is no option to do that. So in a case like that, that is where we will need a Shopify function to extend the discount functionality and do what I have just described. So here I have Visual Studio Code open, and the first thing we're going to need is to have Shopify CLI installed in our computer. In this case, I'm going to leave this link in the video description, but you can see that the process is as simple as running this npm command to install it globally. You can also do it with yarn and npm, and you can even do it with Homebrew if you are on macOS. However, I normally just do it with npm. You can see some other comments over here, such as how to grade the CLI, but let's focus on this over here. I already have it installed, so I'm just going to run npm init add Shopify app latest to use the latest version of the Shopify CLI. And I'm going to select build an extension on the app. If you are building your app that has something else other than an extension, then you should select build a remix app. However, in this case, I am just going to build one that has an extension because a Shopify function is considered an extension. So let's select this template and let's create this as a new app. I'm going to name this functions overview, and it will create this folder over here. You have the option of either changing into this folder or, as I will do here, just moving everything out of it. Both cases are fine. I'm just doing it this way for simplicity. And now I'm going to run npm run Shopify app generate extension. This npm run Shopify is because over here in package.json, you can see that I have a script named Shopify, which just invokes the CLI. And from here, we are going to see all of the options of the extensions we can generate. In this case, you can see that there are much more extensions than just functions. But if we want to see only the Shopify functions one, then we can type here to search. And all of these ones that have dash function are Shopify functions. In this case, the one we want to create is a discount order function because we want to discount the whole order if a condition is met, in this case, 3 products with that discount tag. So let's create this function. We can give it a name such as discount tag function. And you can see here the language selector. We can either use Rust, as we saw a moment ago, which has some performance advantages. We can use JavaScript or TypeScript, or we can use WebAssembly or WASM if we have already the function compiled to a WebAssembly target. However, I'm just going to select TypeScript over here. And now let's wait for this extension to generate. Now this finished installing, and we can see here that we have this extensions folder. And over here we have this discount tag function that I created. We can see over here all the files that have been generated with this function. In src here, if we go to run.ts, we can see the body of this function. Index.ts is just calling the function. Run.graphql is running the input query to get the data for the function. And then over here, this is just a test file to test that the function is working as expected. Then over here in locales, we can localize this function if we want. And then generated is, as the name suggests, just generated code. Next, we will update the input query over here. So first, let's delete all of this and let's query for the cart. And from the cart, I want to get the line items. Then for each line item, I want to get the quantity to see how many of these items are in the cart, and then the merchandise. From the merchandise, I want to get the product variant. Over here, I had to use this on product variant because it can either be a product variant or a custom product. But in this case, I need it to be a product variant. And then from this product variant, I want to query the product. And then from the product, I want to use this has any tag. And over here, I have to specify which tags I want to check for. In this case, I just want to check for one tag, and it is the discount tag. Now let's alias this to check if it has the has discount tag. And let's save this. And if you're wondering how I was able to get all of this auto-completed, it is because of this GraphQL extension. So if I look for GraphQL in the Visual Studio Code Marketplace, you can see that there are these two extensions that I have installed, both from the GraphQL Foundation. And after having those installed, they will read the value of this .graphqlrc.js, which will then point Visual Studio Code to check for this schema.graphql file, which is where the data for this autocompletion comes from. Also, if I hover over anything here, I can get a brief description of what the value of this will be and its type. And now that I have created the input query, let's update the types. So for this, I'm going to open another console, and let's move into extensions, discount tag function, and from here, I'm going to run npm run type jam. What this will do is that it will make the TypeScript types match the types of this run input query. So now let's focus on run.ts and let's update this. So let's start by removing these two things over here because we don't need them. Next, let's create two constants. So minimum discount items, it will be equal to 3, and then const discount percentage, that will be equal to 10. Then let's get the total discount tag items. And for this, we're going to do input.cart.lines. And let's do a reduce over here. Here we have the total. Here we have the item. And this will start at 0. And then if item.merchandise.type name is equal to product variant and item.merchandise.product.has discount tag, then we're going to return total plus item.quantity. Else, we're going to return just total. Now here, if total discount tag items is greater or equal to minimum discount items, then let's return the JSON for discount. Else, we're going to return the empty discount constant over here that came with this template. And you can see over here what that looks like. We have this discount application strategy, which is always required over here. It is just applying the first discount. However, it doesn't matter which one we choose over here because the discounts array is empty. Now over here, we'll have to do something similar. So discount application strategy, once again, let's say that it is first. We can either say first as the first item in the discounts array that matches this, or a maximum for the one that offers the maximum amount of discount. In this case, let's just say first, because anyways, we are just going to have one item in this array. And then over here, the value will be a percentage and will be this constant that we have to find over here for a 10% discount. And we also have to specify the targets. So over here, let's say that we are targeting the order subtotal. And for excluded variant IDs, we are not going to be excluding anything. So we can leave this like that. And let's now remove this return empty discount from the bottom. Also, as we are using type name over here, we have to add it here as well. type name is always included in the generated types, but if we don't put it here explicitly, then it will return undefined once we run this. Now let's run the function, but before doing so, let's go to shopify.app.toml at the topmost level, and over here, we have to update the scopes. In this case, I will add this write discounts scope that I got from here in the documentation. If we want to write discounts or use discount features, we have to add this scope. Depending on what you're trying to do, you might have to add other scopes. Here is the full list of all the scopes available. I will leave that in the video description. So now let's save this and let's run npm run deploy. We have to deploy after updating the scopes, so Shopify picks this up. Let's say yes over here. We can see that the scopes have been updated. Let's release this as a new version. And after this finishes releasing, we can now run npm dev to open the app locally and start testing our function in the store. In this case, I have created this functions overview store, which is where we will be working throughout this video. And now I see this menu over here. Make sure that you have toggle development store preview turned on if you're working with a development store, such as I will be doing throughout this video. And after that, I will press P to open this locally. And the first thing we're prompted to do here is to install the app. You can see that it can view and edit store data related to discounts, such as we specified in the configuration file. And now I will install this. And I have my Shopify app installed. Now, let's see how I can install the Shopify function. And now to install my function, I have to run a GraphQL query. For this, I'm going to press G to open the GraphQL editor in my browser. So over here, I'll press G. And now the first thing I need to do is to get the ID for this Shopify function. So for that, I'm going to run a query. Let's look for Shopify functions. And over here, let's get pages, node, ID. And we also want to get the title to know which function we are referring to. And here we have to specify how many functions we want. Let's say 10. And over here, I only have a single function available in my store, so I only see one item, and it is the function that I have just created. So let's copy this ID, and let's remove this query now. Next, we have to run a mutation. So let's do discount code app create. And over here, we have to specify the configuration for this discount. In this case, let's do function ID. And from here, over here, we are going to paste the ID that we just copied. Next, let's look for code. The code will be discount function. Next, we have to specify the title. This could be, once again, discount function. We have to specify a start date, a start set. So let's do January 1st of 2024. So it starts right away. And now over here, we can just get the code at discount. Let's get the discount ID to verify that this generated properly. And over here, in case we have any errors, let's get the message. So now let's run this. And over here, we see a discount ID. So the discount code was created successfully. And now after creating the discount, if I go to the Shopify admin and click on discounts over here, you can see that I have my discount function, discount created over here. If I click on it, this will open because my app doesn't have a UI. However, we will see in a future video how to show something over there to edit the values for the discount. But for now, let's just copy this discount code. And now let's go to my store. Let's preview this. And let's add some items that have the discount tag to the cart and see what happens. So for now, let's just make this 3. If I go to checkout and apply this, then I have a 10% discount. However, if I go back and make this 2, then my discount is no longer applied. And now if I add a third item that doesn't have the tag, such as this one over here, let's add it to the cart. I can view the cart and you can see over here that no discount is applied. And even if I go to checkout over here and try applying the discount, nothing gets applied because over here, the complete snowboard product doesn't have the discount tag. However, if I go back to the store and look for the collection snowboard oxygen, add this to my cart, go to checkout, you can see that the discount function, discount code, is being applied once again because this product does have the discount tag. And therefore now we once again have 3 products in the cart that have the tag that we are making for. And as we are running this locally, we can update this in real time. So for example, let's say that I wanted to update this number to be a 20% discount. I can come over here, change this 10 to be a 20, save this, and then wait a second, refresh this page. And over here, you can see that the value now is doubled from the last time because we increased from a 10% to a 20%. And now, how do you deploy this app to a regular Shopify store? Well, from the Shopify Partners dashboard over here, you will click on Apps and then click on your app here. Then go to Distribution and select Custom Distribution. If you are planning to distribute this to the Shopify App Store, you will select Public Distribution. But in this case, I am not, so I will select this. And over here, you have to paste the URL for the Shopify store that you want to install it into. So in this case, I will do the URL for my store, and I will generate the link. And then with this link, you're going to be able to copy it and install it in a regular Shopify store, not just in a development store. And that's an overview of how to work with Shopify functions and what you can do with them. Make sure to check the video description for more resources on the topic, and also take a look at the Shopify Functions tutorial playlist in this channel for tutorials on the different functions available and what can be done with them. That will be linked in the video description as well. And with that being said, if you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe for more Shopify related content, and I will see you all in the next